to the riches, cause it's all about the paper. Now buckle up your seats and prepare for the journey. Let the music ease your soul, grab a spliff and start burning. Relax with us and take a trip to the heavens and come and spend a day in the 757.
This is Alpha Male, and you are listening to the after show, but later.
It's the after show, but later. It's your boys D and El Cucuy. Here we are, episode number 189.
Woo!
I don't know. I don't know about you, Cucuy, but I felt like they had a hell of a week.
I did.
You know,
I missed some, but I got a lot written down myself.
I made sure, dog, to go through and you know what? Whatever. All right. I made sure to go through and check out all the Fox Sports episodes to make sure, you know, we have things from every angle, from the Patreon to the Fox Sports. And earlier today, before we got started, I was running around and trying to do a couple of things.
Right.
So look at this, Doug. You see this right here?
I do. Looks like Rich's scribble scratch.
Yeah, it's Kennedy's.
Oh shit.
I had her following me around with a notepad, and I was like, Kennedy, right? Spot, blah, 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 blah. And she was like, and then I was like, Kennedy, right? Rich says he's not fat because, and she was like, so I have my notes right here for today, Doug. So,
oh, that's great.
So here we are, the after show, but later, episode number 189. It's your boys D and El Cucuy.
You
know,
hey, pal.
Well, I realized, Doug, when I was editing the last episode, that I was like, and here's El Cucuy. I'm basically pointing to back there. When I was like, Doug, no, you're right here. There's El Cucuy. Oh. Can you guys? Oh, yeah, I was poking your head, Doug. I don't want to do that. All right, Doug. I don't know what Patreon be thinking we're doing, but I got a notification, and it was like, hey, verify your identity as a creator and all this 18 and over and all this, right? Yeah. So I'm thinking it's some standard like for everybody, right? If you're 18 and over, you're a creator, like making sure that no like children are starting Patreons and shit, right?
Like standard with no cruise control.
Yeah, that's what I thought. But right. I click on later
after
and it
show.
says, hey, we're targeting shows or some that have nudity or sexual content in their videos. They were like, and we're asking those channels to verify. And I was like, dog, what kind of nudity do we?
Can you message them and say, hey, can you send me the clip where someone?
No, it's literally, they give you two options. Not now. And it says, if you hit not now, your patrons payments may be put on hold. Like they can't make their payments to you. Or so not now.
Is that?
So it says not now or continue, right? So I hit continue and it said, okay, start the verification process.
Right.
And it said, take a picture of your ID. So
I said, take a picture of your nipple.
Doug. So I literally, like it said, use your webcam or whatever, right? So I clicked use the webcam, held my ID up to it. And it says, the picture is too blurry. Try another method. And I was like, Doug.
Is that black and white ID you got?
It was.
See, that's why. The fuck Arizona's they need to get their.
You know what? Speaking of which, I talked to Reinhardt the other day, and because he was messaging me and he was like, "Hey, bro, I got mine in like November, and my shit's in color and all this." I was like, "All right, cool," you know. And then he hit me up a couple days later, and because he was like, he said, I think he got a new ID and his son got a new ID or some, and he was like, they're in color, like, and I was like, all right, well, cool,
colors.
So then a few days later, he's like, hey, bro, he was like, I just talked to like somebody else or I don't know what. And he was like, yeah, that's black and white. And they got a new background on the ID and everything. So it might have been at the start of 2023 that they started with this.
Right. That's bro.
Boo. Boon schlaka.
Hold on.
Go ahead. What am I listening for?
Color.
You hear it?
Color. I am a nightmare walking.
Black and white ID talking.
King of my jungle.
What?
All right. That's enough.
There we go.
There we go.
We got to get down with some colors, dog. You know what? I'm so stoked, dog, because I feel like it finally feels like dope to record. Like when I came in today, you know, we settled on time. We're like, hey, you know, let's try and record. You know, we got whatever.
Yeah.
And I was pretty much able to come in
Ableton Live.
and turn everything on and basically just kick it and wait, you know,
Mhm.
which is like where since Johnny and I started on day one, I was like, I can't wait till I can basically have a walk in somewhere and hit record, you know, and that's
Yeah.
almost to where we are. So it makes it pretty dope.
Well, guess
Yeah.
what?
What's up, dog?
Do you drink Bud Light?
If they're around, I don't go out and buy them.
You never buy Bud Light?
I don't really buy beer in general, to be honest.
You hear that Covino and Rich said today that they went from the number 1 in beer to number 14?
Oh, I did hear that. Yeah.
And I totally, I'm a businessman. I always am, you know that. And
Yeah.
I agree with Covino. I mean, you're entitled to your opinions, but you're risking sales sharing them and force them down people's throat. And so then the psychological question is, what's the need to do so? What's the need to publicly take a stance like that when you're not called out because you're not? Like, why risk those sales? Why risk what was so important? And they ended up pulling it. And that's the thing too. It's like, if you stand behind the stand behind the but it was chicken to do it and then pull it when they got bad publicity, and now they're just from an overall disaster. Like, who's behind that process? And why do we feel like we have to share all of our feelings now at all times? And now companies are doing the same. Remember back in the day, bro, it was okay to feel a certain type of way about someone, and no one really knew why. You didn't really care for them a whole lot, but they're like, you're not really digging so-and-so, huh? Right? But you didn't even have to really tell them. Like, everything didn't need a fucking explanation. And I didn't know you need to know your stance on everything. As long as you weren't racist, right? As long as you weren't a thief and a liar, like, the code was pretty simple. And they've clouded it, dude. It's like society is looking to castrate someone for whatever reason they deem fit. Whether it's if you disagree with their view on abortion, you disagree with their view on science, you disagree with their view on the war, you disagree with politics in general, you're a Republican, they're a Democrat. Like, bro, why are we trying to always assassinate everyone's character nowadays?
Yeah, no, I completely agree. But you know what? It kind of goes into one thing that I was listening to Fox Sports and they were talking about A-Rod and Derek Jeter, right? And did you hear that conversation?
I think I did.
Okay, so they were talking about, for the people that missed it, they were talking about they asked A-Rod, like, hey, what was the, you know, greatest career year you had or whatever.
But both
they
of those are hella cocky too. No one did they say that? Like, they're both egotistical maniacs.
Yeah, no, they didn't start off like that. They just mentioned them. And they had said A-Rod saying one thing and Derek Jeter saying another thing. And I kind of feel like, you know, I don't really feel like Rich was super passionate that he thought Derek Jeter was full of shit. And of course, Covino Jeter's his dude, so he was defending him. But I kind of feel like I don't know why Rich had such a hard on for Jeter's response, because I kind of felt like both of them were legit and honest. Because
share them again for the people that are listening that didn't hear the convo.
So A-Rod had said, he talked about, you know, this year and this year was good. He came ready to kick some ass and take names and whatever he said. So he had said that was a good year personally, like as far as like his stats were good. And then when they asked Jeter was saying, you know, what years were good, and he said like 96, 99, whatever, whenever they won the World Series. And Rich was like, oh, that's a answer. I don't necessarily think that, because I think, for one, what's the whole point, dog, of playing a sport or whatever,
of
be
any
the best,
competition,
right?
I'm trying to up a Monopoly and Shoots and Ladders Connect 4, let alone World Series.
Exactly, right? So why is so
Uno?
Doug, so think about when you're a kid and you're in little league, right? Or think about when you're on the court, you're on the basketball court and you're shooting baskets by yourself, right?
Mhm.
What are you doing? What does everybody do?
You
What
go
is
to a spot, 3, 2 for the
exactly right?
game.
Exactly right. And you hit that, and maybe
And then you break your neighbor's window.
you may have 5 shots that you're shooting until because you're like 3. You do maybe you're gonna juke somebody,
But you do it in
right?
the batter's box too when you're playing with your friends. 9th inning for the championship. Doing it
right.
I would switch hitter, bro. I'd even do my Daryl Strawberry. Boom.
So his spot, and he never even played
Boom.
sports.
Really?
But that's the
He's
story
playing
for another
sports
day.
now, bro. He's playing sports I ain't never heard of.
But
He's inventing them along the way.
but what I'm saying is right. Like you're a little kid, you're
I
pretending.
don't want to be in that league.
So
Hey, bro, he truly is in a league of his own.
I have a comment on that about a listener that was gone and he had just came back. But you're always doing that, right? You're playing football with your homies, your brothers, whoever, and
He just wants to put his hands like this.
Doug, they throw the football, right? And you're running past the street light to catch it, and you're pretending that, you know what, you just caught the Super Bowl winning touchdown.
The Dwight Clark,
right?
or any of the famous ones.
So what? Who was it, Doug? Was it
Well, maybe Derek Jeter, though. Like I started before you even said it, he's an arrogant, cocky as well. Sorry, Covino, but he is. And he's a champion time and time again. So I guess he can be. But he really comes off as arrogant a lot of the time. So I think he could have communicated his message being a little more humble. I agree with what he said. I think he maybe could have just possibly said it better.
Yeah.
And that defines the truth, because A-Rod's always been selfish, and that's the only titles he got. Didn't he get one with the Yankees?
A-Rod?
Yeah.
I thought he got at least one, right?
Right. Me too. And so, but it's nothing, he's always been more of a selfish, stat-driven player when Jeter's about the team. So I get what he's saying, but he just maybe came off wrong when he said it.
Those are the moments that you're pretending to have. These fools are having in real life.
Or the interception. Remember when they made Russell Wilson throw it in the second time in the Super Bowl and they got Devin McCourt? I think it was someone got that pick.
I thought it was Annalyn McCord.
Could have been.
It was one of the McCord, or the Honda Accord. It was one of the Accords. I don't remember. But what I think is stupid. Well, what I don't necessarily agree with. I had a conversation with somebody today, and they were telling me, we were talking about the dance you have with words you're saying and shit. So instead of saying this is stupid, I'm gonna say what I didn't agree with was the fact that Rich had such a hard on for, oh, this wasn't cool or whatever. This wasn't.
How did you go with this is stupid and you started with I don't agree with? Rich has a hard on. You went right back into this is stupid conversation.
No, it's different. I'm saying hard on.
All right, sorry.
I'm like, this fool over here is saying, oh yeah, well that's dumb, whatever. But the whole like going back to what we said, that's the whole reason why you play Little League. Your first, even before Pop Warner, if you're like in flag football in like second grade or whatever, you're like, that's what it's about, So I trip out when I'm like, yeah, it's dope to have you could have how many seasons have some of the greats had, right? The LeBrons, the Kobe's, the Jordans, the whatever have had some dope seasons, but they couldn't bring home a championship for whatever reason,
failure.
Right?
It's a failure. You have a goal. You didn't accomplish your goal.
Exactly. So how could you look at one of those years as your best year when you're like, at the end of the day, we didn't accomplish what we set out for, right?
No, coming up short in sports is no different than still being the janitor at 55. You failed.
100%. I gotta. There was somebody a few weeks ago, named Eli the Racist.
I saw that.
Well, one thing that the dude kept saying in his video,
wasn't that the same dude they were referencing when Rich said he didn't want street vendors at his house?
Exactly. Yeah. so we talked about it a couple of weeks ago, but we never got to this point. And I was looking at my my notes, and I had this on there. That guy Eli the racist dog, he had me laughing so hard because the girl that was recording him, he kept saying, "You stupid," right? And, dog, what, like I just said, what I think is stupid, right? And then I'm like, no, I got to change that because, Doug, like when he was saying, oh, "Stop recording, you stupid," right? When you know how he turned into like a second grader when he was arguing because he was pissed. If I'm really pissed, I have been known to have that mentality where I'm like, stupid, and it's so funny because
me too.
And even
you
if
should
you're
hear
not
me when I say it about every car that pulls out in front of me,
Doug, or even if you're not saying it out loud, right? Like, say you're in a conversation with like,
you ever call him a cunt?
Say you're in a meeting with a
seriously. What's worse? Stupid ass, or just calling him
a 100%.
No. Hey, but it's only 4 letters.
I guess, but
one word.
That's not usually my go-to. Just in my head, I could be having a conversation with somebody, and they'll be like, you know,
you
this
might have
or
to
that.
take this out of the regular show, bro.
I don't think so. So there could be somebody talking out. I'm over here thinking like, you know, say you had a job when you were like 16, right? And say you worked at McDonald's, and your boss is like, hey, you didn't flip them burgers correctly, right? And you're looking at them, and you're probably thinking, stupid, right? And you may not say it, but you're thinking it. So when this dude was saying it out loud, I was laughing. And that was one of the things that Covino and Rich were talking about, that were saying, oh, like that really is what like is turning them off about the video, is that he keeps saying you stupid ass. But that was kind of the part that kept making me laugh.
I'll take you back to my retail days. And I would have to deal with a lot. I worked in the West Side. I worked East Side. I've worked in a lot of fucked up locations. And it's similar behavior, but the way they go about it is different. Like a rich white lady is going to throw just as big a fit and be just as nasty as someone saying, "That's just up her." Like the white lady ain't going to say it like that, but she's going to call for your job. I'll call the blah, blah, blah and have her job. So it's the same message, but different wording. But for me, I was always the manager in charge. So I would have to come in and try to play playmaker and save the day and make sure that our boss didn't get a phone call.
Get that last minute touchdown.
Yeah, last minute goo down. And, you know, because I want to make sure that they don't call, you know, corporate, because then my boss has got to answer to some I couldn't fix. But this over here, ma'am, listen, if you want me to help you, you can't
You're
continue.
You're going to need to please shut the
you cannot continue to call my teammate one of the worst words in the English language. I'm here to help. I want to help, but I can't help if you keep attacking her with that language.
Yeah, no, you handle that correctly, right? You handle that 100% how you should. I got a quick interruption real quick. So and right now Funky Monkey joined us, right?
Oh,
and she said, "I'm here." Well, actually, she said, I hear. And so a few minutes ago, before we had gotten started, Kennedy is in her room, right? And she's like, "Daddy," she's like, "if Funky Monkey asks where Kennedy is, tell her I'm in my room." So
that's great.
So Kennedy even knows the people that chime in to listen live. And so shout out to Monkey. Kennedy was even talking about you today. So, but yeah, man. But no, I think you handle that correctly, and that's the way to do it. And honestly, if you ever do want to get a point across, the easiest way to lose people is to have that freaking the easiest way to lose people is to have that attitude where you're cussing and you're being irrational, you know?
Yeah, because you can't. I know when you're heated and you're in the moment, but if you take a step back and breathe, it's hard for you to get the results you're looking for, screaming and yelling and cussing someone out. No, because again, we just talked about that. Everyone's got feelings, everyone's gaslighting these days and whatnot. You don't get to play victim and attack me at the same time. Doesn't work that way. It's all right,
man. Here, Funky Monkey want to say hi. Say
Hello.
hi. All right, now go back. Yeah, no, it was funny because dog, there was a listener that said that, okay, go over there. There was a listener that said that he had just came back to Covino and Rich, and after years of being away. And so he was like, hey, there's a lot I need to catch up on. There's
Yeah, there is.
there's this and that. And so I put, oh yeah, there's a lot you need to catch up on, right? So I
Yep.
put MMM, MFM, I put FFA, FAA, freaking I put ABC and CBS. And the dude was like, I do need to catch up because I don't know what the that means. And I put neither do we. I go, but Spot usually tries to explain whenever he's telling his stories. So, Doug, can you imagine being away for years and you come back and you're like, what the hell is happening with the show?
Well, like I can tie a story into this conversation. I
Mhm.
just saw Wineshank interview Jason Ellis,
Uh-huh.
and now he's fully gay.
It was that on her show?
Not that was on Dr. Drew, because after that point, because a long time ago, my buddy Thor, shout out Thor, even though I'm right and I'm going to prove my point right now. When Ellis was going at CNR, he was Team Ellis,
Yeah.
and I'm Team CNR. So he's talking Ellis, he beat the him. He's MMA. Hey, bro, I listen to a radio show. I'm not interested in who can win a fight. I don't care. That's just
Yeah.
That's just Ellis being a bully, and that's more reason why I don't like his ass, because he's a and he's a dickhead, and he just whatever, right? And I used to try to listen to him, but when he started attacking CNR, I quit, bro. I was like, he was already kind of weird anyway. Wolf mate, what the
Yeah.
bro? Get a real name, you bro. But anyways, fucking, I seen the thing with Shank, and I was like, huh? He said talking about dudes were blowing him, and I was like, ugh. And his wife was hiding in a dog kennel with a blanket over it because she didn't believe him. And I was like, clickbait, let me figure this out. So then I clicked
Covino and
on
Rich
it.
talked about that too.
Well, then I clicked on it and went to Dr. Drew. And bro, it was where he was talking about he's getting a divorce because he's more gay than he thought he was. And he had a whole gay army on the inside that he didn't know about. And I was just like, wow, and in 2019, he was talking about an article that he was just bi, and that the community wasn't accepting him and whatnot, and he felt disrespected because he was bi and they weren't accepting him, and and how it wasn't fair that when it was a threesome always in pornos, it was usually two girls and a dude, you know what I mean, instead of three dudes. And I was like, whoa, huh?
Nothing. There was a reference to a show in the 90s.
But then he's like, it's never three dudes, and I was like, well, you shouldn't have been talking the show because Spot beat your ass.
Yeah. No, you know what? Freaking you know what? I don't nah, I know.
So the question is, do you think you can play those games, or do you think most of the time
Most
you're
of the
gonna
time.
end up like Ellis?
Most of the time.
Right?
Doug, I don't
Because okay, let's just say food, for example. Unless I got sick eating it, if it was something I thoroughly enjoyed and you offered it to me, I'd probably take it, right? I'd have no reason not to.
Yeah.
So if you're into dudes that much now that you're having a three-way, does that just go away one day?
Yeah. Well, see, that's the thing, is that I don't know, Doug. Actually,
Think about what I just asked you. It's
I-
one thing, right? Chicks were bi at one point. Now they're married. They don't do that. Okay, I get that. My question is, if you have a threesome, I've only had one threesome in my life, and it was with two chicks. So the fact that someone had a threesome with two dudes and they're a dude, which, like they said in the show, most gay dudes have never done, does that feeling ever go away? Do you ever not want dudes? If you're into it that much where you did more than most gay people have their whole life, do your feelings for dudes ever go away?
Doug, are you able to call it a threesome if it's just dudes, or do you just call it a wild poker night?
No,
Doug, I've never heard.
And then hey,
I'm
not only that, their theme song is Poker Face.
Doug, it's just funny to me because I'm like, it shows how ignorant I am because I've never thought of a threesome with like
I didn't even think it was possible. I didn't think you could get 3 dudes to agree to some like that, even if they weren't gay.
Doug, even them, they're like, all right, Doug, that's a bit much.
This is crazy even for us.
That is so
I've
funny.
sucked 2 different dicks, but never in the same room.
All right, now you're just being ridiculous.
Like Rob.
That is
Rob
so
Deirdre.
funny. Oh, that is so funny, dog. That's so crazy.
Sorry, Spot.
Oh my goodness, dog. That dog. I'm not even tripping. I there was Doug. Did you hear Spot's conversation about how eating healthier is not, what did he say, as easy or some or no. He said eating healthy is just as easy as not or some and then Rich freaking, you didn't hear that conversation?
No, but let me say something first. And so it'll kind of hopefully take us off the hook for the comments we just made. Just had a conversation with one of my buddies, right?
Yeah.
Super religious, hardcore Christian.
Yeah.
And I told him I didn't think it was fair that a lot of Christians go around telling everybody else how they need to live their life when they're not even living their life that way themselves. And then when you call them on it, they get pissed off.
Yeah.
My thing is kind of like, it's gaslighting. You can't call all this attention to yourself or something because you're running your mouth and then get upset when someone asks you to be accountable for it.
Well, Doug, I have another comment on that.
But it ties into the lifestyle choices. Like Bruce Jenner. I mean, you can't have anyone attack him or be abusive, but people are gonna have questions. You came out in public. You're very open about it. Like, it wouldn't be right if he got upset if someone had a decent question or just didn't understand something. You know what I mean?
Doug, well, just on Fox Sports, Spot, which one of the notes I had Kennedy write down, Spot, he kind of got mad at Covino because Spot, they came out of break or something, and Covino was like, "Oh, Spot over there on his phone. He said he's on TikTok or some like, but I know he's on his dating apps." And then he kind of laughed, and then Spot kind of gave him like a dirty look because
why?
And because on Fox Sports, you know, Spot is only known as Spot the married guy, right? So
yeah, but you know what? You can't live a lifestyle and expect everyone to keep it secret in certain situations.
Well, Doug, even
they try to do, and then get mad because it slipped. Because Doug, that's all you talk about on the other show.
And the thing is, Doug, is that Covino was like just making it. He could have made that joke about Rich, right? He could have been like, "Oh, Rich, he says he's on Twitter. We know he's on dating apps. Ha ha ha. Move forward." Now that Spot gives Covino a dirty look. Now Covino addresses that like, what? He goes, Spot is looking at me like it's true. He was like, but I'm just making a joke or whatever, right? Mm-hmm. But even if there was a bit, which there was a bit of truth to that joke, like you said on the other show, that's all Spot talks about 24/7,
bro.
So they're supposed to come over to Fox Sports.
Tell me if I'm wrong. He talks about it so much that people complain about it.
Yeah.
And so now you want to be secret Spot over here, secreto. You don't want no one to know your story. And I get it because the Fox Sports image. So it's probably better that way. But 100%. You can't talk about something with people for what? 12, 13, 14 hours a week and then expect them to not make a mistake, bro. We're all human.
See, and look, Funky Monkey makes a good point. With it being the new normal for Spot, it's natural something would slip out for Rich or Covino because Doug, that was, I feel like it wasn't even a slip, but it was just kind of a
nip slip.
Doug. So you know how Floyd Mayweather, when he would fight, what would he do, Doug? He would duck, right? And he was a king of tapping.
And
right?
he would go back, he would slide too.
Right.
Yeah, shoulder
But what
probably
he would
slide.
do is he would tap, right? He's not swinging for his life. He's tapping, right? He's getting points. Just a little jab, but like a little tap, right? So Covino, there was an ounce of truth to it, but it was just a little tap. He didn't say, "Oh, Spot, tell us about your new life." No, Doug, it was a
He
quick
just did
little
dating sites.
it was a quick little joke. And Spot over here was like, Doug, I wish
You know what though? You know what my feeling is on that?
Huh?
If you're ever embarrassed about anything like that in any kind of situation, you might want to put in some thought into what you're doing. Because at that point, now you're asking people to keep secrets.
And Doug, and not even that, like, as much as they have to like talk and fill time with and who, Doug, so this is them keeping the lifestyle from the Fox Sports Radio listeners, right?
Right.
But so is he asking them to keep it from Danny G? Is he asking them to keep it from Ramos? Is he asking them to keep it from Monsi? Is he like so what? So Doc, so now they all need to be part of his little charade where he's having them keep secrets?
Well, and even if you don't want to say it's dishonesty, it's at least keeping secrets.
He's omitting the truth, right?
And I'll tell you this from being in leadership and management. I'll tell you straight up, bro. I led through COVID. You know how much trust we would lose in a team when someone would be sick and we couldn't tell nobody why they didn't show up for 2 weeks?
Yeah.
Like anytime you start keeping secrets from your team and they find out that you've been hiding something this whole time, you compromise the culture. It's deeper than whatever the got going on. You guys, those guys, to make the best possible show on Fox Sports, they got to be 100% in sync with each other because they all play a very important role in the production of that show.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want to compromise any of that because your buddy's doing stuff that he don't want them to know about.
Yeah. No, it's just,
and
Doug,
it's not on me if you do that.
Yeah. You know what? I wonder. Hold on. You know what? Let me see. I don't know if you want to talk.
Savage?
I don't know if you want to talk or something, but I'm gonna try to find, because you said you didn't hear Spot's conversation about eating and no. I want to play this for you. Let me see.
I know someone else that wants to talk.
Who?
This is Alpha Male with the after show, but later. Check in. I want to play.
He wants to play. Sorry, what were you saying?
Let me see, Doug.
Otani on the big stage. I mean, this guy.
Was it right here? Let's see.
Hard it is to make healthy foods.
Okay, here we go.
You're gonna have to make me creme brulee every night.
He's your quintessential epitome of a nerd. Is out there getting ripped.
What's your excuse?
Then what is our excuse for real?
Okay.
I don't have an excuse. I do what the I want. How about that?
Exactly. Doc, check this out. But listen, so I'm gonna play it right now to where Spot, he's saying how it's just as easy to eat healthy as it is to not eat healthy, right?
No, it's not, because food is an addiction, and some people are addicted to food.
Doug, not even that. It's convenience, right?
And it's harder.
So
it's harder. I got a theory for you. You know why it's harder? Because guess what, bro? If you're a recovering alcoholic, what do you do to not drink?
You stay away from bars, right?
And people that have parties and alcohol.
But what do you have to do every day?
You have to eat, and everyone has to eat. So you're gonna see food. You're gonna see billboards. That shit is crammed down your throat every time you're watching Hulu.
Doug, and not only that, but take all of that out of the equation. Spot is saying, like one of his, I don't know how much of this I'm going to play because I don't at the same time want to play their their paid content.
Right.
But I'll play a little part so we can just get the gist of it. But he's saying, oh, it takes you 20 minutes. He's like, to throw chicken breast in the oven and whatever. And he's like, and it takes you 20 minutes, to go to Jack in the Box. Doug, I'm like, if you don't see the difference between picking up Jack in the Box on your way home and coming home and having to, it's not hard. I'll give him that. It's not hard. We've all made food like that, right?
I agree with them. I agree with them. It takes the same time because this last year, but
right.
But Go ahead.
It's not as convenient.
No.
That was what I was trying to say, because I started arguing in the chat, like, and then
well,
like
and
Bree.
let's think about what convenience is. If you go to Ralph's and buy a 2.75 ounce bag of beef jerky, it's $4.99 or $5.99. You go to 7-Eleven, which is a convenience store, it's $8.99.
Right,
For the convenience.
You're paying for convenience. You're paying, right? Exactly. Dog, think about DoorDash. They have all these, dog. You're buying a $10 hamburger. It comes out to $25 because you have somebody's bringing it to you. You got a tip. You got service fees because of convenience, right?
But instead of 20 minutes to cook chicken, you could call that 15 minutes ahead for the DoorDash and get home, smoke you a little tree, and boom, it just shows up.
Watch.
You're tuned in, ready to grub.
Let me see if I can.
Having the healthy food on standby, prepared, having it in your fridge, having it defrosted, having all the little things that you have to worry about.
It's just as easy to make a chicken breast as it is a grilled cheese sandwich.
It is.
Which is what
all right, I forgot I was talking to the best guy in the world.
It's just as easy to make a piece, a fried egg, as it is to heat up a piece of sugar-free cake that you eat every.
You know, okay, it is, but you know what else? It's easy to do.
What's that?
Reach for some ding dongs,
and just throw the wrapper away with no dishes.
Exactly, right? Eat chips, Doritos mindlessly while you're watching Covino and Rich. Right,
bro. I'm in the grocery industry. Everything they do now is a multi-pack.
It's because it's easy,
on the go.
Right,
everything's on the go. Yogurt tubes on the go.
And so you know what? And he's like, oh well, like he talked about frying an egg and I like making eggs. Doug, I started drinking I started making smoothies and fruits and vegetables. I had a kale drink this morning.
You've been listening
at work.
to Larry June or what?
I just
he's always talking about smoothies.
Well, I'm thinking it's a easy way for me to get
a replacement meal,
like different into my. I don't like if I'm doing a smoothie with kale and I don't have to cook it. I don't have to right. But what's easier than doing that, because I still have to, like, this is a perfect example. I'm glad we're talking about this. It's not hard, like Spot saying, it's not hard, but you know what? It's not as convenient. So if I get some kale and I throw it in my blender or whatever, and I grab, a couple of whatever, and I mix that, I take it, prepare it, take it to work. That is a lot less convenient than me going, leaving out the door. I'm going to take a Twinkie with me. Right? Is that not more convenient grabbing the Twinkie?
Absolutely.
Okay.
And with that being said, I hate to throw this in there because I know it's kind of a touchy one. But again, have kids, they said. You don't have kids. It's easier to cook dinner for you and Kristen.
Well,
you ain't getting the kids ready for bed.
That's where the conversation started.
You're not giving them a bath. You're not doing any of that.
That's where the conversation started, because they're talking about Mark Zuckerberg getting all ripped, right? So they're talking about that.
But now you're talking a whole different language. He can have a personal chef cook what he wants.
I'm glad you said that. See, that's what Rich said, because somebody said in the chat, when you're a billionaire, you could have yourself a chef or whatever. And that's what Rich said. Rich was like, yeah, it makes sense. And that's when Spot goes, well, I'm not eating these, great meals every day and this and this and this. And then Covino's like, hey, if it is just as easy, if it is, as you're saying, as like convenient, and he goes, then why were you fat for 39 years of your life?
Well, not only that, dude, why do you have to prove every way that your way's right? Why can't you just lose the weight, do what works for you? Because here's the thing, again, I've also been someone that's lost over 30. We talked about it multiple times in my life. And what I do absolutely works for me every time if I stick to it. But it might not work for you. People lose weight on Weight Watchers, bro. That shit don't work for me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So like everyone's body is different. This guy got to quit thinking he's the alpha and the omega and then he knows everything all the time. Because check it out, like we talked about last week, what do you just clicking on the links that you like in Google? Every time they switch something, bro. Remember NutraSweet was good, then it was bad, then it was Sweet and Low, then it was the blue one. Now it's a Sparta-me or whatever. They're always changing their story. Are you a guinea pig? Do you figure yourself, or do you listen to what everyone else tells you?
Yeah, no, it's just like, watch here. Let me play a couple more minutes of this.
Because they're
Make
always
healthy
changing their
foods.
mind.
It's really how hard it is to be disciplined to eat healthy.
No, it's
There's a
hard
difference.
to
It is hard to be
have things
disciplined.
on standby. Andrew said it. He said, Rich is just saying having help makes things so much easier when people have.
And you know how you said about the kids and
Yes.
and so Rich said, if you are getting your kids in the bath and doing this and putting them down or whatever, wouldn't it be nice if you had a chef to say, hey, I'm gonna be putting Ben in the bath when he's out. I want a dope ass healthy meal, a nice piece of salmon or whatever the joy with a couple of green leaves on it or basil or whatever the on salmon, right? Isn't that so much more like convenient and nicer and right? If you're a billionaire.
Forget even that. Let's not even go billionaire. Let's just go Covino, Rich, who both have kids. Me and you, who both have kids. This dummy doesn't understand. Sorry, you're right. I got to stop. I'm going to go rewind to what you said earlier. Sorry. What he doesn't understand is that by the time you pick your child up from school, you get them home, you get them into the bath and get them clean, you help them with their homework, then you start to make dinner, you sit there with them, you don't just give them a plate and tell them to off, right? You have dinner with your family, you clean up after dinner. Dude, that's a 3 or 4 hour process every night.
Exactly. Doug, exactly.
Every night.
So like Spot said, well, it's just
good luck getting them to eat your healthy.
Doug, but think about this.
I know a certain dude that I talk to about once a week for a couple hours who has a child that doesn't really venture far outside of mac and cheese and chicken nuggets. Yeah, no. Spot, let's take your diet plan over there and see how that works out.
And Doug, look at this. One thing that you brought up that they didn't even address on the show, that's a really good point. Like Spot's like, it takes just as long to make a piece of chicken, right? Yeah, you're right, it does. But you know what else you have to do? You have to prep the chicken. Now you have a dirty cutting board. Now you have dirty knives. Now you have, right? Oh, now you got to, if you're going to Jack in the Box or McDonald's, you know what you're doing? You're done eating. You crumple that, you throw in the trash, you move on with your day.
And
that's
you can do
what
that
we're talking
10
about.
times before you even got to take the trash out.
Doug, and that's what we're talking about, the convenience, right? Then after you eat that food, as far as like your dinner that you made and now you need to wash the dishes now, right? So Doug, so it's a convenience thing. And for Spot to act like it's not as convenient to just eat food or just snack whenever the want, like it's
well, not only that, we've talked about it on this show. You're lucky to see 70 summers. If you want to spend 25% of your life preparing food, you have at it, champ.
And he can, because like you said, he's not getting the kids. He's not taking the kids to dance. He's not putting the kids in the bath. He's not right.
Even if he has two dudes, they all meet at the same time.
Exactly. They can all drive themselves, right? But watch. Let me hear a couple more minutes, real quick. A couple more seconds.
But there's more to it than that.
Zuckerberg doesn't have it easy.
He also has a lot of business to attend.
Saying you're a big like
story of how you hold people accountable. Jack White is a very less.
Hold on.
What's the Rock news? I want to know.
Oh well, they're moving on right there, but
move on, bro.
they go back into it though, because I kept.
I was gonna say I have something, but I
oh, and let me see what Bree said. So Bree, shout out to Wes. She said, not that hard to cook from home, just the laziness to pick up fast food, right? And then Spot goes, well, at least you get it. I'm like, you're making your own point.
And I just thought of something.
Convenient. It's easier.
Oh, and right? You know what?
It's easier. That was the whole argument. It's easier. That's the argument.
Let's also calculate the time it takes for you to get those recipes and go shop for all that at the grocery store. I don't got to shop for the burger Jack in the Box cooks. Snoop's Munchie Meal doesn't require me to go to the grocery store first.
Doug, during this, Spot said, oh yeah, he goes, because I'm reading my comment. I said, Spot just contradicted himself because he said, yeah, I make chicken. He goes, I could have easily got, Doug, you made your own point, or you made our point. I could have easily, easy is what the whole argument was about. Convenience and ease. Not, and it takes a rocket scientist to make a chicken breast. We know it's shit and anybody can do it. It's the convenience and the ease factor. That's what.
Would he feel better if I got a grilled chicken sandwich on wheat with light mayo from Jack in the Box?
No, because you don't know the bread and how much preservatives they put into those.
Well, guess what? He doesn't either.
Yeah, apparently he does. He knows everything. Dog, it's been so like
it's just been negative energy. I think that's what I want to say. I want to be honest.
It has been. I
respect him. He does not seem happy. He makes more negative comments by far than he laughs, and I'm starting to get concerned.
I'm not starting to get concerned. I'm just starting to get like dog, like, you know, I used to be so like pro Spot.
Me too.
When they used to be like, Spot, you know, like listeners, when they'd be like, Spot needs to produce and not be a voice. He's not a host. Honestly, Doug, right now, I'd rather just hear Covino and Rich, and I'd rather have Spot kind of take a fucking step back for a little bit.
Absolutely. I mean, and I don't mean to be mean with that, but that would absolutely make my listening experience.
And it has nothing to do with all the gay doing.
No.
What like this argument about the food, because Doug, he's so like condescending and annoying,
right?
That he knows everything, and that anybody's Doug. This is how you know somebody's a fucking idiot. Is that
wait, earlier in the show you said you weren't gonna yeah, sorry, well, delete that. Go ahead, Brett.
Okay, we need to rewind. This is how you know that somebody is trying to look smarter than they are, is they will try to contradict the majority or the general consensus, right? Because they are trying to contradict it to look like they know more than the majority.
15 times a show.
Right. So and you know what? You're right. I'm glad you stopped me, because I was able to more eloquently express my opinion instead of saying this dumbass, right? It's true. When you're trying to contradict the masses for the mere fact that you're
logical. There's something going on that makes you even want to do that to begin with.
I have a really good friend, dog, that was smart, really smart, but he had to be the contrarian in every conversation. Every time. And it just gets tiresome.
It does.
You know?
And I think I'm going to be one thou wow right now too. I'll be a one thou wow, 100% honest. I don't need all Spot's details. I don't give a shit what he does with his life. And he wants to give little updates. Hey, bring them. You know what I mean? Like, but I don't need to hear the three dudes. Like some of this shit, I'll be honest, and I'm with you. That's not what's on the show for me necessarily. I would appreciate it if it was a little bit less details, but that's not it. It's the negative energy. It's like you said, it's knowing everything 10 to 15 times a show, willing to argue over it. And it's like in reality, number one, dude, like we're looking at you like, why do you feel the need to challenge everything? Like pick and choose your battles, number one. Do it once or two a show on something that you're really passionate about. Quit trying to show everybody up in every conversation, because that takes we're paying us for a service and we're paying for an experience, and it's not allowing it to be its full potential.
Yeah. I just feel like, and if you notice in this conversation, I want you to go back and like watch it. We're at 2 hours and 12 minutes right here. So say go about 2 hours in, right? Go back and watch this part, because Covino kind of takes a back seat. He says, you know, a couple of comments here and there, but he looks like he's over it. Like for real, like we're beating a dead horse here. This is always going to be the contrarian. He's always going to know the best. So like I literally have it paused on Covino biting on his pen like this.
Well, and I got a challenge. Ask anybody in their circle how much fun that person is to be around. And it doesn't mean they don't like them. It doesn't mean they don't even love them. But, you know, you start to have negative expectations of these people because they're always fulfilling them. You know what I mean? Like you're having a buzz, and that's the buzz because then they want to be right about River Rock. You know what I mean? Like it just, I don't know, whatever, man. Like I said, my I could go with less details. Don't need him not to talk about the. I don't need to know 3 dudes and he blew it and he only feels how it feels and you're taking a dump. Like, I don't need to know that. I did not sign up for the gay channel. I didn't. And I'm not mad again, but say what you got to say, but I could use way less details. But my main thing outside of all that, I could deal with all that if he just didn't bring that negative energy all the time.
I gotta read you what somebody texted me the other day about watch. Let me see. He said,
bro, he literally said that when you take it in the butt, it feels like you're taking a dump. That crosses boundaries for me.
Watch. Let me see.
Does that cross any boundaries for you on a service you're paying for? Did you sign up for that?
I didn't 100%. I can tell you that. But
and I ride with him. But let me be clear. And this does not mean I'm going to cancel my service or any of that or nothing. I'm not saying anything to that nature. I'm just saying if he cut back on the details and brought a better energy, I think it would be best interest for the show.
Doug, look at somebody texted me this. They said Spot loves the attention on him, man. Right? That's what they said. They put he like loves it. Literally word for word. He like loves it, right? And I put, 1,000,000%. And then he put, he gets giddy, like the attention is finally on him after all of his life. He's almost buzzing, bro. That's what
it's the wrong attention.
And then I said, yeah, for sure. You can see as soon as they ask him about any of this or he brings it up, or whatever, he gets like a grin on his face, like, oh, here we go. Now I get to tell these about MMM lifestyle.
It's almost like his way of getting back at him for all those years where he was third fiddle.
Because he knows it's going to be controversial. He knows that the attention's on him. Doug, you know what it's kind of like? It's kind of like
in people's mouths.
It's kind of like people that are in like the WWF, like when you're a kid, and like they get off on being the heel, right? So
he's the heel of the show. The person, bro.
Say they have the whoever. Think about it. Think about they have who's like somebody that people love in wrestling, like when we're kids, like say Hulk Hogan, right?
Right.
Well, the person, say the Ultimate Warrior is gonna beat up Hulk Hogan or whatever, or say like he spits on him or something, right? And everybody's booing him. And then he's like, oh, like, come on, bring it on more. And then people are like calling him names and Warrior sucks. And they start to chant. And he's like, he's soaking it in. That's what Spot's doing every time they talk about this kind of shit.
I couldn't agree more. And with that, my question is, wouldn't you rather receive positive attention? Like, hey, Rich, dude, Spot hooked me up with this recipe the other day, and I made it for Jordan's sister and my brother-in-law, dude, and they loved it, man. Spotty, dude, that shit was bomb. Or, hey, I couldn't figure out my internet, and Spot, came over and helped me out. He got me back online, reset everything, and boom, got me on the DNS or whatever those stupid things are, or Spot gave me the link for the fight. Like, wouldn't you want, I don't know.
Doug, well, that's what I used to get. I used to be like, damn, it's dope that Spot, like what he would do behind the velvet rope, he would talk about like creating After Effects and how they stream the show and all this. And Doug, even though I'm aware of a lot of that, like Spot even told me, hey, because he knows we do this, and he's like, hey, let me know if you need any templates or anything, I'll send them to you or whatever. That and just watching him do that on Behind the Velvet Rope, you're like, oh damn, that shit's dope. Hey, Spot gets down, right? But you know what it is? There's a handful of people like me that are like, hey, that's dope. Yeah, Spot. Hey, oh, that's how you're doing that graphic. Oh, that's dope. But you know what there's more of? And hey, Spot, we didn't tune into this. Spot, blah, blah, blah. Spot. Everybody, Spot. That's all he is hearing, right? So he loves it. Good attention, bad attention. I'm with you, Spot. I've done MMM too. Oh, I hate MMM. Wait, you can't call that a threesome, but you know what it is? It's all about Spot.
Yep. It absolutely is. I think you're right. I think you're
Yeah,
spot
dog.
on.
Yeah. Well, I'll let you you take the mic for a minute.
And Spot, we love you. We're just, you know what? I'm not. We're here to be honest.
Doug, how much
And
shit have we talked about how
it's
much
not.
we look,
This ain't talking. These
no,
are
but what
the
I'm saying is
feelings from my.
how many times have we disagreed with Rich, right? And the last episode we called it Rich would kill it or Rich would crush online dating.
Right.
So
And he was. He fucking
we're just
smashed
being
it.
honest, right? This is just how we feel ATM, right? At the moment. That's how we feel. Right. So, hey, it might be, you know, next week, 2 weeks, tomorrow, we might be like, damn, you know what? Like, Covino's annoying this. This was always on his high horse or whatever. You don't know. Or, you know, Rich, damn, Rich just swears that he's not fat because he doesn't drink beer, like a comment he made, right? And then tomorrow we're like, oh, you know, Rich, like he actually would kill it in dating, right? It's just how we feel at the moment.
It is for sure. So
Funky Monkey said he's catching up on all that attention he didn't get before. That's 100%.
I totally agree. She's
Go
absolutely
ahead, Doug.
right. And I'm sure she loves Spot too.
Yeah. That can't be, hey, some of the biggest arguments I've ever got into in my life are with the people I love.
Right.
Right. So,
Or the people I left. But hey,
those were the biggest arguments,
those
right?
are the funnest ones, bro. They had you like a roller coaster. Woo!
Doug, I remember one time.
And you know what? I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Tell me if I'm wrong.
I want to hear it.
You got to rush off of the good, the bad attention in those fights too.
Oh yeah, Doug. I remember one that sticks out to me very vividly. I was with Johnny. It's me, Johnny, and his sister, right? And me and her, Doug, she's one of my best friends to this day. We get in the middle of the Buffalo Wild Wings parking lot. We get into it, dog. We are like we're yelling at each other like we're an old married couple, right?
Okay.
And a couple weeks later, this dude that I knew that worked at Buffalo, he's like, hey, who is that chick that you were getting into it? And I was like, oh, seeing that, I felt stupid. But Doug, but I'm like, that's just like, you know, a lot of times the people you love, you have so much, like, you can't agree with them all the time. You can't please all the people all the time, you know?
Well, and I, you know what? And the thing about us is we're real and we're authentic, and we don't do what Rich said he does and he plays it up for the radio or whatnot. Like what we say is what we feel. And just because we express passion about, you know, what we're feeling, it's passion. It's not hate, that's for sure. You know what I'm saying? And
you know what I'm wondering, Doug?
What are you wondering?
I'm wondering when the after show part 2, when the new after show is gonna come to fruition, because Doug,
Mountain Time.
I love listening to Covino and Rich, right? But you know what I would also love?
What's that?
I would also love to listen to
Baby
the
D?
after show, but later, if I wasn't on the after show, but later.
Okay.
Like, because I would love to hear people talk about Covino and Rich, how they get to hear between us, right?
Yeah.
You get a unique perspective, dog, because you got to check out the after show before you were on the after show, right?
Well, I did it because I only checked it out because you were talking. I heard you.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, Gavzilla. I remember. I remember what I said in that moment.
I was like, I heard these talking show. Like, who are these clowns? Let me check it out real quick. And
hey, but you know what though? It's cool because like
it works.
Hey, stop touching this. Talking to my dog. Get over there.
You have a dog?
No, it's Kennedy. But I just didn't want to people know I yell at my, you know.
But later.
But
later.
After show, but later. Well, that's what I'm saying, dog. I would love, and you know what? I'm like, dang, I'm so jealous, dog, because like one of my best friends, Chris, he'll hit me up and he'll be like, bro, I've been binging the show the last week, right? And he'll catch up on like 3, 4, or 5 episodes at a time. And I'm like, dog, that must be dope to have like one of your best friends. Like, you know, we don't talk every day. So you get to catch up and just like kind of hear them, you know, because we talk about Covino and Rich, but also we talk about what we've been up to. Had to drive to Vegas. Kennedy had a
Right.
competition. So, Doug, I wish I could listen to like a buddy of mine's podcast, you know, but I don't really know anybody that had a podcast. You know, that's why I'm so stoked for the after show, but later.
Me
You
too.
know?
Coming soon.
Coming soon. I can't wait. But yeah, man. I don't know if you have anything else because I have some.
I got a lot,
shout-outs.
bro. I've just been like, I got a whole bunch of start or what?
Yeah, let's go, Doug.
Okay. What about the home run derby and the lack of energy and no back, gone. And the pitch count.
I agree. There is a lack of energy, but honestly, Doug, I never even really gave a. I'd watch it as like a kid. I'd be stoked. That was something that, I mean, that's another thing that you did as a kid, right? You, if you could sit there and hit softballs or baseballs or whatever with your cousins or whoever, what are you doing? You're picturing your in the home run derby, right? You picturing yourself winning. So that lack of enthusiasm is kind of whack, but at the same time, I can't really complain too much because I haven't watched it in the last few years. So for me to act like I'm devastated would be a you know.
You know what they should do? Because I agree with Covino. He said that, you know, you kind of don't even get to appreciate the bomb, or maybe it was Rich, but because before it's landing, they're already throwing another pitch.
Oh yeah, I heard that.
Maybe what they should do is modify it that once the ball hits the first time, a green light comes on behind the backstop that the pitcher can see, and that's okay for him to start his next pitch.
Yeah. That would be dope. How hard would that be? You know, not at all.
Just once it lands, it lights and pitch.
Yeah. You know, it would. I mean, I agree.
But I think there's a lack of emotion. Next thing, Covino said something about Amazon Prime and he didn't know the big deal. And is it always on the same day? And then I think Spot fact checked and said last year or the year before was in June or something, but it's always on the 11th and the 12th. Covino said for marketing purposes, he thinks it should be on the same day every year. And you know what? I've taken a bunch of marketing classes and I totally agree. I'm not here to challenge Amazon because obviously they're one of the biggest retailers in the world. However, what he said made absolute sense because you want to ingrain your message and timestamp it. So if you're looking for someone to come in a certain time frame, you have to drive that home over and over and over and over. So when they say Amazon Prime Day, oh yeah, July 11th, right? That should be your mission statement in your marketing strategy is how do we drive home when to get these deals?
You know what? I couldn't agree more, but I'm disappointed.
Why?
Because Doug, I'm like, I haven't been doing a good, like I talked to you today and I told you we're back on track, right? We're going to be able to release shit on time, whatever. But there's been, Doug, not even, I wouldn't even say a few weeks. There's been a couple of months since it's been hit or miss where I like to get on Sunday, but sometimes it's Monday, right? You know, and it's just like, it's like, if it's really crazy and I couldn't edit or whatever, then maybe it's out on a Tuesday. And I'm like, and every time it's like frustrating. But you know what? What I have, because you make a very good point, and I agree. Like, I really, Doug, like there's podcasts that I listen to that I know, Doug, before Tony used to come out on Sundays is the audio, and then the video would come out on Mondays. Right. I love the show so much that, you know, I would listen to it audio only and be like, they're making fun of this dude's hair or whatever. I'd be like, I can't wait to watch shit on Monday. But I knew now Tony releases the same Monday as everything. The audio and the video is released the same day. But I know, right? Every Monday evening after work at 6:00 every Monday is going to be Tony, right? And lately, the last few weeks, they've been throwing out a few other episodes, like on a Wednesday. But
after or before the show?
No. That's in addition to their normal one, right? Okay. So I'm like, cool, I get my Monday show. And then if I get another one during the week, that's awesome, cool. But they're consistent with every Monday. And the biggest thing about growing, you know, your podcast, growing your whatever, is the consistency.
It is.
So I agree, but it's humbling for me because I'm like, man, like, I have to put more effort into maintaining that schedule, you know? So I agree with you 100%.
Well, and then, and just, I know the CNR listeners can probably relate to this, but even when they were on XM and the channel changes and the constant time changes, when
103,
they would
104,
at least the first
80.
year you're getting Brownstone, oh Covino,
Yeah.
and anyways, but even the first week or two, it's hard to adjust to them changing times, let alone, and that's your favorite show.
Yeah, 100%.
You know,
100%.
so
And yeah, and I agree. Like it's something that, and think about it, dog. This is something that we listen to every day that we have to adjust to, right? So for doing something once a year, Amazon Prime, you're gonna do that once a year and it's not gonna be consistent. How, I mean, obviously Amazon's bigger than anything we could ever do in our life,
right.
but why not make it more convenient? Why not make it more of a marketing strategy to say every week after the 4th of July week, every Tuesday and Wednesday.
Black Friday doesn't change. It doesn't turn into Black Sunday one year.
I think
It's Black Friday every fucking year.
I think all Fridays matter.
They do.
But what I'm saying is, Doug, why not?
The one with Mike Epps was cool, and then that one with Cat Williams, that shit was tight too.
I don't think I ever saw number 3.
Oh, you're
for real?
Cat Williams is in it. Money, Mike. Pimp, we gotta keep pimping, pimp.
What the hell did you do?
Terry Crews gets him in the restroom and does some things to him, and they make it seem like, and he comes out, oh, you got a pimp, and he like, I forgot what he did, but he jacks his ass up. Yeah, he gets him by the nuts with the vice grips.
Oh man, you put that on my to watch list.
Oh, so old person filter. Have you used it?
No. Oh, you know what? A few generations ago, I did. Like, I haven't used the new one that's the rage, but when there was like a picture one, like 2-3 years ago, I took one of those. But not. I haven't used the new one. It was like you had to get like a filter app or something. It was on Snapchat or something.
Yeah.
I did that one time. I haven't done it since. What about you? Have you done the new one?
No, and they were talking about the emotion, and you're not supposed to. Your parents aren't supposed to see you like this before they go, and does that mean you're gonna soon? And one of my main issues with mankind, and
the wrestler,
him too, is not letting just be okay with what it is, having to know everything. Aliens, God, everything, right? Like, why do I want to see that? Why don't you just appreciate life as it comes? You know what I mean? You notice you're starting to get, just because you're noticing that you're getting a little thin on one side, doesn't mean you need to see what you're going to look like in 10 years bald.
Yeah.
I don't understand. That's the problem with humans. They can't stand the unknown. They start doing stupid, silly like this. And we don't realize it, but deep down it fucks with you because it's causing issues, in my opinion. Doug, like, what if you don't like the way you look? How many people out there are going to make a lifestyle change because they look like they're 103 when they're supposed to be 65?
You know what? I'm so glad you said this. A listener brought this up, and they were like, they had said that, I think Rich was like, oh yeah, can you imagine doing this to if you had a kid that you lost when they were like 20 and all this?
Yeah.
Well, one of the listeners had put on the Carl page, he was like, I'm not trying to talk. He's like, or I'm not trying to, like be an ass. He's like, because I know he's just, talking. He's like, but he said he did lose his daughter at like 20 or 21, however old she was. She had leukemia. And so he was like, for Rich to say like, oh, that, people are going to do this, make them sad or whatever. He was like, I face this every day, as far as like it's something that you have to face every day and be reminded of, and that,
Yeah.
And why would you do this purposely, like make yourself sad? If you did lose a kid or something, you're not going to be doing this filter and if you lost your kid, that's enough. Doug, can you imagine? Like, that's something I don't ever want to even imagine.
No, I would think that you would just, even like with the situation that you just described, I would think that you would want to remember them when they're healthy and then they were in a good time. Right? Why would you want to?
Monkey's stupid, dog. Did you see your comment?
I did.
Oh my god.
Finish
She said
him.
she's still trying to catch up on the Mortal Kombat filters. It's so funny, dog, because I never did those, but I would see them on TikTok. It's funny.
Yeah, I would do that. I don't need a
Yeah.
I don't need a machine. I don't need an
You don't
app.
need to purposely make yourself sad, basically, right?
I don't need an app to fast forward my skin.
Yeah.
I just don't. You can, and not only that, do you need the app? Why don't you just go look at your parents? That'll tell you right there. As long as you're not boosted.
You know what? Hold on, I'm prepping because I have something for an outro. But no, Doug, I did one of those apps, like I said, like 3 years ago, and I in the app, I looked exactly like my dad. Like, so, like you said, just look at your parents. Hey, you're probably gonna look like that.
Right. Hey, real quick. Now I had a brain fart.
What, you got them drops or what? You
No,
tuned in?
I got the trees, but what was I gonna say?
Almost. Okay, well,
let's
while
do
you
our
gather your
let's do our TikTok couple minutes each again. I got some
we
positive feedback on that.
you know what? We can. Let's do that. We're not set up 100%, so but maybe we can. But Doug, I gotta show you a song. Tell me if you remember this. I played this for my daughter the other day, and she was like, "What the is that?" And then she started repeating things that they were saying in the song. And I was like, "Oh, I forgot they said that." Right? So check this out. Do you remember this song?
No.
You don't?
No. Yeah, never heard that one.
Put your nunny on my tongue and your booty on my face. Doug, Kennedy's in the car going, did he say put your booty on my face?
Yeah, bro. What are you listening to these days?
Oh, yeah. But anyway, Doug, my bad. We got to give shout outs before we leave, Doug.
Okay.
So I have a couple. Ismael Chavez, Homer Camacho, who he said he's the biggest coconut ever. And he was like, he commented on our last video because we were talking about how Covino and Rich, every time they do an impression of me, they're like, oh yeah, hey, Cucuy, blah, blah, blah. And then, Monsi, whatever. So Homer said that he's like, I'm the biggest coconut ever. He was like, and they always make me sound like I'm a down ass vato. And I told him they see Camacho, his last name, and they automatically assume he barely knows English, So shout out to Homer for chiming in. And you guys that are listening to the show, if you go to YouTube, I've been so inconsistent, but I'm going to try to be, as we talked about earlier. Go to YouTube, the YouTube releases, and put a comment on there. The more activity we have on those videos, the more YouTube sends it to other people. You know what I'm saying? So if it's if they're commenting on the one that is like the secret link, YouTube's not going to send it out to more people because it's already an unlisted link.
What if my sneaky link comments?
You can do those all you want. So just I got to make sure to never watch smut in this chair, because then we might have to start an OnlyFans.
What'd you do with the retired lawn chair?
Just over there somewhere. I don't know. But we got to give a shout out to, of course, Funky Monkey, who's with us right now.
Yes, thank you,
homie
Funky Monkey,
Louise,
for joining in.
Carl Reinhardt, Andrew.
Is it Ryan or Rain, bro?
He told me it's Ryan. We've been saying it wrong for years.
No Rhinestone. It's Rhinestone, not Rain Man.
He's a rhinestone cowboy, dog.
Okay. Shout out to that dude.
And who has more, dog? Who has more house than Will? Nobody. So shout out to Will Morehouse, who has been showing the page some love. So
they got Morehouse got a college.
Yeah. You think what, dog? What if Will is like a millionaire and his family owns that college?
What if he owns that college?
What if it's Will Morehouse College?
Yeah,
dog,
if there's
you're
a Will,
blowing my mind. I'm not even tuned in, and you're blowing my mind.
Hey, if there's a will, there's a way, bro.
if there's a will, there's more house. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
You got any shout outs for you, Bounce?
Bobby Tipton. Got to shout out Bobo. He's doing his little thing, getting his little hustle on, getting his LLC. You know, we're proud of him here on the show. He's trying to get his chips and whatnot. Stickman, Stickman's always showing love and support. Got to shout out him. Columbo,
100%.
Tip Diggity Dog, and and all the Tito and E. Where's Jason in Tampa, man? You heard from him lately?
Nope.
Get him on the show.
Mike Durband, I haven't caught up with him in a minute. So there's a few people, dog, that we need to catch up with.
Well, yeah, I need to catch up with Rocket Dog.
But one thing you can always guarantee is that, and Joey, I'm just you comment wherever you want. I'm just saying it would be nice. But one thing that you can always guarantee is that the people that will always be here, the writer, the Funky Monkeys, the Joeys, the Carls, all them, people fall off like I Am Key. I haven't heard from that in decades. So
really,
if you are still listening, I Am Key, let us know in the comments, the public comments.
What happened to I Am Key? What you pissed him off or what?
I don't know, dog. I think
I pissed him off.
I don't know, dog. He's taking pictures of now, probably.
All right. Well, best of luck. Hope he comes back and tunes in.
So that's all I'm gonna say.
What about the other space cowboy, Tim and AZ?
I don't even want to bring that dude up.
His
fucking Cricket
Wireless. What happened? Huh?
With this Cricket Wireless.
Fuck, man. He was like having a conversation on a cell phone with him was like trying to adjust the rabbit ears back in the 80s on your TV.
Doug, okay, you know how hard it is? You know how we were talking about earlier about you were like, you got to be professional and you got to be like, listen, ma'am, if you want me to make any adjustments, you need to speak to me in a tone, right? You have to put on Cucuy work guy voice, right? Well, you know how hard it is, Doc, for me to not laugh. So when people get their financial aid through our school, it's through a bank called Bank Mobile, right? Anybody can you can set up, you can say, my name's Cucuy, I want a Bank Mobile account, and you can go set one up, right? It's just a bank. So it's a bank that we work with. You know how hard it is for me, dog, to not laugh when I'm dealing with some hood ass little kids and they're like, yeah, so I try to set up my Boost Mobile.
He said Boost.
You know how many times I've heard Boost Mobile, and I'm like, all right, Daniel, you're at work. Be professional.
Be professional.
I'm like, all right. And then so I have to try to throw a, hey,
did you try your Bank Mobile?
So I'll be like, oh, well, if you're gonna set up your Bank Mobile, I'm trying to throw it out there like, hey, you said it wrong, but be nice about it.
That's what you should say. It ain't Boost, puto. It's Bank.
Well, so then you know what they'll do.
Also, you got the pay attention. So Alberto tu ojos, way.
And then they'll tell me, yeah, no, so like I typed in my information into the Boost Mobile or that thing that you were saying. And I'm like, yes, that thing that I was saying, Doug.
Did it give you a pin?
Yeah, they told me that I need a secret key. Do you know, do you get the secret key or do I get emailed the secret key?
Did they give me a tarjeta with the little codes?
Doug, I remember my first day, Doug, this is 2012, my first day working for the college ever, right?
What'd you do? First job.
Just like a clerk, like at the desk. And Doug, I remember this Mexican kid walks up to me and he's like, excuse me, sir, can you tell me where I signed up for college? My first interaction with somebody ever, which that'll be ingrained in my head till the day I die. Excuse me, sir, could you tell me where I signed up for college?
What'd you tell him?
I was like,
here you me.
I was like, right here, young buck.
Hey, where the sign says start here, I would try that.
Doug, I was like, you see right there where it says enrollment and registration?
Right that's too complicated. Doug, he's not seeing all that.
No, Doug, I swear to God. So my cubicle was
your ice cubicle.
It was my cubicle. We had the cubicle right next to us, and then we had a cubicle to the right and left of me. The cubicle to the left of me was enrollment and registration. So I was like, Doug, you're almost there.
Damn.
Hey, one more guy over. Doug, so then at the time somebody got mad at me because I was wearing a maroon button-up shirt, and I was working for the university that was housed on the same campus, right? And they got some old Asian dude got mad at me because he said, "Oh, he was," because I was like, "Oh, I'm sorry, you know, we're this school, you know, so blah blah." And he's like, "Well, you're wearing their colors." I'm like, "What the you Bloods and Crips or what?
Damn.
This is just a shirt. Vato, get the here, Miyagi."
Oh,
now
Miyagi.
No.
Hey, real quick, I got a question for you. I want to try something for the next episode.
What's up?
I'm going to ask a question right now, and we're not going to answer it till next week.
Huh?
I'm going to ask a question right now. I'm going to bring up a topic.
Wait, I'll let you ask.
And hopefully whoever's listening can send us some comments and we can have some feedback for it. You see the Ice Cube interview where he's talking about the gatekeepers?
Mm-hmm.
Did you?
Yeah.
What'd you feel about it? Do you think it's true? How deep do you think the gatekeepers of Hollywood and better yet America go? Let's talk about that.
Oh, you know what? I'll definitely hear that. But did you hear Funky Monkey's comment? Dog, she goes, "You know how hard it is when people call like her job and ask to speak to the judges? Like, hey, excuse me, sir, I need to pay my bill. Can I speak to the judge?"
Oh,
like, can you imagine? Hey, is Judge Johnson there? I'm sorry, sir. Judge Johnson. I'm sorry. You need to go through a few more people to get to Judge Johnson.
I didn't know that you work for the law.
Dog, she be lying up.
Damn it.
Why you think she's Funky Monkey and not her government name and shit, dog? You never know. People know she works for the law. Next you know, clack, clack, clack. Her right? She's trying to sleep and shit.
Damn it.
You know, so.
Okay. Well, I promise I didn't do it.
Yeah, so anyway, the Ice Cube actually that made its way into my algorithm. So well, I'm not 100% believing all this, but I am definitely not 100% not believing this.
Yeah.
So if you want to go more into detail on it next episode, I'm down.
Yeah, just the gatekeepers. Is it true? He says people got to do. You don't play their game, you don't reach the top. It just is what it is, and let's get some feedback. I do want to give a shout out and say peace out to everyone though too. Hey, look, boop. Look at Chapo Jenkins. Look, Chapo.
Time to look at the screen.
Chapo, look. Look at the screen, fool.
You don't care.
No,
Chapo.
Hey, we went on a walk earlier. He just wants to hang out with his pops.
All right.
After show, but later.
Hopefully, episode number 180.
Later coming soon.
Dog, can you imagine? Let me see, 89, 90. We're like 10 episodes away from episode number 200. How crazy is that?
Crazy. Oh, and I forgot to tell you, Chapo wants everyone to know he just became friends with Theo on IG.
Oh, for real? That's what's up.
He said, tell Theo what's up.
All right, Chapo and Theo making friends on Instagram. Wow. If you need to find Theo, he's like Theo _puppy _ and ... or some. Go find him. He's on Jordan.
Fuck, is that it? It might be the wrong Theo.
I forget what it is, but it's like Theo _pup or some or whatever. I don't know. But anyway, go find Theo.
Me. I just know Covino liked a couple of his things, so I'm assuming it's Theo.
Go find El Chapo Jenkins. Go find After Show BL. Go find Funky Monkey. Tell her what's up and how much we appreciate her. After show, but later, we will see you guys in episode number 190.
To the riches, cause it's all about the paper. Now buckle up your seats and prepare for the journey. Let the music ease your soul, grab a spliff and start burning. Relax with us and take a trip to the heavens and come and spend a day in the 757.